Welcome back, everybody, to your favorite World Cup show, Compas FC. I'm Fernando Ramirez. That is J.C. Cervantes. That is Eddie Rodriguez. We're back to talk about the round of 16. A lot of some games had a lot of goals. Some games had no goals. Some games had PKs. Some teams couldn't even hit one. So we'll break it all down today. But first, I got to start off with you guys. Eddie, how are you doing?
Doing well, doing well. Excited. Lots to talk about.
JC?
Can't complain, man. Another day in the books, more history. Spain choked out as expected. Let's go to the next round.
Somebody predicted that. I don't remember who did, but
somebody
did.
In this with the three of us, somewhere in here. I think it was
Yeah.
me. Somebody said a certain two people were gonna choke out, and here we are. Here's today. Puede ser.
So obviously, let's start off with the first game of the round of 16. Team USA loses 3-1 to the Netherlands. At the beginning, it seemed like Team USA had a little bit going, but once the Netherlands did exactly what they wanted to do, which was get out and run and counter, the Team USA couldn't stop them. It was literally the first two goals of the game. The two goals by the Netherlands were almost exactly the same. So it was definitely interesting to see USA come back after missing the World Cup the last few years, and obviously they lose to the Netherlands. But Eddie, I'm going to start off with you. What went wrong for Team USA?
I think a lot of things went wrong. I think Berhalter was unable to adapt to the game plan. You said it right there, where two of the goals came from the flanks. I think it showed experience that the coach has, unable to adapt. I think a lot of things factor in. Also, like, why would you start Jesus Ferreira, who you haven't really given minutes to? I think this game was perfect for someone like Sargent or even Haji Wright to come in and do something. But yeah, it's unfortunate. I thought that the U.S. could squeak it out, but Louis Van Gaal and his quote unquote boring style of play just made it look easy.
JC, is this more about the Netherlands taking control and beating the U.S., or is this more of the U.S. Kind of not being able to catch up to that European style and maybe not being used to playing teams with that European style the way that the Netherlands do?
Not necessarily. I just feel like, like every World Cup, you're going to play up to the occasion. You're going to play up to who you play against. And, Greg dropped the ball, didn't react, didn't make the moves he had to make. And he just stayed stuck on his ways. He spent more time picking out shoes than he did setting himself up for the game. And it showed. Like, they got beat in the most elementary way possible. Then they literally just crowded the midfield, and that was it. They neutralized McKenzie, and it was done. It was a wrap after that. They had to put a big body up there, like I said, and they didn't, and it showed. It was like a participation game. Everybody had to play, I guess. So it's just more or less tactics, and the mentality was there. They came in with the right mindset. It fell apart because of tactics.
Eddie, should Team USA pat themselves on the back for their performance throughout the whole World Cup, or should they be a little bit concerned after the tournament because of the way they lost to this team? They barely were able to beat Iran 1-0. They tied against England, and then obviously they tied with Wales 1-1.
Yeah, no, I think they can hold their heads up high. I think getting out of the group stage undefeated, it's not an easy task to do that. They went toe to toe with England. They scraped out a draw there. Remember, it's a lot of players' first World Cup. I think DeAndre Yedlin was the only one that had a World Cup experience. So looking forward and looking into the future, I think if you're a U.S. fan, you can be excited of what's to come. Whether Greg Berhalter will be at the helm, that's still a question to be answered. But no, I think you can hold your head up high and look forward to these upcoming tournaments here in the U.S.
Well, I'm going to ask you both this question, but I'm going to start off with JC. JC, Greg Berhalter, is he the coach of the future for this team, or should they go and look for something else?
I honestly think not. There's always, in a process, the coach that's going to set you up to get to where you want to get to, and then there's going to be the coach that's going to take you to the next level. USA needs that coach to take them to the next level. The process is almost done. They got a foundation. They have a very strong base and a lot to build on, and a lot of players overseas. They just need that right coach to take them to that next level.
Do you have a coach in mind?
Not really. Honestly, it's a tough process. I mean, they pulled Greg almost out of nowhere. I'm pretty sure he worked his way up a couple of ranks, but it's tough to tell. But they just need a hard nosed coach who's really gonna have that experience and not get scared to make the tough decisions like every other coach has to this World Cup.
Eddie?
Yeah, I mean, I don't necessarily agree. I think he's going to stay at the helm. I think he took them to two finals where they beat Mexico in both finals. He
Come on,
qualified them for the World Cup.
CONCACAF.
I think you give Greg a chance to continue building on what he already built. I don't think you necessarily get rid of him just right now. I think you continue the process, and 2 years time, that will give you your answer whether or not he's been the right guy to lead the U.S.
So, do you have well, if say that the U.S. decides to make a change, you have a coach in mind, somebody that you could be like, oh, maybe point at him. Like, do they need a European coach, or do you feel like they loyal to the soil?
Loyal to No, I don't think they're loyal to the soil. You seen Klinsman was the coach at one point, but no, I think it just comes with experience, and it's just he got the experience now. I think he'll learn from it. He'll reflect on it, and moving forward, I think I'm expecting big things coming from Greg. Actually, I know a lot of people in the around the media are saying the opposite thing, but I don't know. I'm a believer.
All eyes are going to be on the U.S. in 2026 because the tournament will be here at home. All eyes are going to be on them. They're going to expect all these kids to grow up by then and be ready to compete. So that'll be interesting to see how they do. Let's move on now to Argentina versus Australia. Argentina goes up 2-0. Australia hits Argentina hits an own goal to kind of get close. Argentina ends up winning the game at the end. Eddie, were you impressed with Argentina's victory over Australia?
No, not at all. I think there was a lackluster performance all the way around. I thought that Australia could sneak in the equalizer before full time. They almost did. I think they got bailed out by Emi Martinez and Lisandro Martinez coming in and assuring that back line. Hey, this whole Argentina team and the whole tournament, they've been playing extremely lackluster. Messi gets his goal, and I know everyone's gonna talk about that, but yeah, I wasn't impressed at all.
J.C., what did you think about Argentina? What have you thought about Argentina in this game, and then what have you thought about Argentina as a whole during the tournament?
Yeah, they're falling behind. I mean, look at how Portugal performed today. Look at how Brazil's been performing. Everybody that's supposed to show up and like kind of really just destroy the opposition, they're doing it. And Argentina should have destroyed Australia, and they didn't. You got a sub in a center back because Otamendi can't play 90 minutes. Why he's starting, I don't know. It's ridiculous and it's beyond me. He should not be starting for the team, but Messi has to play with his friends, and that's the number one problem. They're still playing to get him to score a goal, to get him a golden boot, and that's all it really looks like at the end of the day. They're not really playing lights out football the way they should be, and it's showing on the pitch.
Eddie, what should Argentina be? What should the coach be what should the coach be concerned about now that they're moving on? About his own team. About his own team.
About his own team. I think he has to be concerned that they're over relying on Messi, and they're relying on Messi to do everything. They take the play, they take the tempo, and we discussed this before. He's not that player anymore. So if I'm the coach, I'm looking at other players to step up. I'm looking at you, Lisandro. Possibly, Dybala might have to get a start here. We know he's a difference maker. We've seen what he's done at Roma and how he's rejuvenated that squad. If I'm the coach, I'm extremely worried that if we play stronger opposition, which they are, if they're able to neutralize Messi, then who's gonna be that next player to step up?
JC, why do you think? I mean, some of these guys have stepped up, like you guys have mentioned. Some of these younger players, but what do you think is one of the challenges that Argentina is facing as a team as a whole? Like, do you feel like why do you feel like it hasn't kind of come together for them yet, or at all?
They keep forcing the ball to 10. They force it. It's one way. It's one thing to play through him and to include him in the gameplay, but when they force it and they absolutely have to give him the ball every single minute of them being on the ball on offense, it just ruins the whole fluidity of their game. You can't really do much else. If you looks like when you watch him play that nobody can outshine him. Nobody can go and take a player 1v1. Nobody can skill past a player. Nobody can be the star of the team. It has to all be about 10. And that's the problem. I get it. It should be about the crest, not about 10, and if the guy wants to go on a 40-yard run on the left wing and dump it into another striker and leave Messi out of a play, it's like it's frowned upon in these games.
Yeah, no, definitely. And I mean, speaking of a guy who could be the Golden Ball winner, he put on a show on when was it? Sunday. Sunday, he put on a show. Kylian Mbappe scoring a brace against Poland. JC, let me start off with you. How impressed have you been with all the injuries that France has had? It just seems like they get injured. They get injured more than the LA Chargers or the LA Rams. And these guys are still putting up. Number. I mean, Mbappe just is taking over the tournament, I believe. Just how impressive you've been with Kylian.
I don't have the words. The guy is an alien. I don't know. The last time you saw this, it was Cristiano and Messi, but this guy's just on another level. His off the ball runs, he doesn't stop running. You saw Deschamps get mad at him for not tracking back, and then what's he do? He bags 2 goals and he just shrugs it off like it's not a problem. I mean, it's almost like when he wants to turn it on, he turns it on. And the thing I'm most impressed in is his finishing. Wherever he aims to put the ball goes there with no effort. You've seen how he shelved that first shot. It was just ridiculous. He just aimed there, put it in an impossible place for a very good goalie. And, Szczesny's not some chump off the block. The guy's huge, 6'8", 6'7".
Yeah.
Held down Juventus. He learned from Gianluigi Buffoni, and it's just like, he just made him look like he's just a normal guy. He's just on another level.
Amateur hour.
Eddie, why even though all the injuries and everything that's happened to France, why are they still succeeding and dominating in a sense?
It's really just comes down to the squad depth, and you still have a lot of key players from that 2018 run there. I've been no one's really talking about, but I've been really impressed with Griezmann. I think Griezmann is the glue of that team, and he's the one who keeps the team together. I know JC. I know JC loves Griezmann. I know that's his boy and stuff. I'm gonna give him some flowers. You seen it.
PP
in the middle. He can play on the wing. He can play as another striker. I think a lot of people had questions about Griezmann coming into this tournament because, one, he wasn't getting a lot of playing time. And that was really just down to his contract with Barcelona and Atleti not wanting to pay a certain fee if Griezmann was starting a certain amount of games and blah, 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 blah. But yeah, I mean, it's crazy, man. It's crazy the amount of squad depth that this France team has, even with all the injuries to players like Kante, your boy Pogba, to mention a few. So yeah, I mean, Deschamps is probably,
Kareem
relishing the idea of maybe going back-to-back World Cups.
Hey, honestly, Tchouaméni really stepped up. I told you, if they can figure out who's going to play holding mid, it's going to be a whole another run. And Tchouaméni's there's box to box, man. I don't even know if I'm pronouncing his name right, but that guy is a dog.
I think it's Tchouaméni.
Dog in him.
Yeah. So so you've been impressed by I mean, because obviously Real Madrid paid a lot of money for him. So you think he's been impressive so far with the national team?
So far he's living up to the price tag for sure. And then another big one, your boy Jude. Jude's looking like he's gonna be the next one.
Hey Jude.
Real quick before we jump over to England, is Kylian Mbappe the best player in the world right now, JC?
100%. Yeah, there's nobody better at the moment. It would have been Benzema if he would have been playing. You would have seen a little different, but
You're so disrespectful.
He's on a whole other level. Hey, the kid still got to beat out the number one Ballon d'Or holder right now.
You're so disrespectful.
Benzema won it over him for a reason.
What do you think, Eddie?
I think Neymar is the best player in the world right now. I think Neymar is back to being Neymar. So he's there, wearing the Brazil shirt, putting all the pressure on himself, which has allowed other people around him to play a lot more free. Richarlison looks like, a godsend. Vinny being Vinny. Rafinha, who didn't start the tournament that good, but has come into his own.
You had to mention that.
I think Neymar's playing lights out, man. I think Neymar's playing lights out, and it shows.
The best player in the world.
Best player in the world right now. Best player in the world right now.
Oh, yeah.
Well, moving on. Let's go to England. Obviously, England beat Senegal 3-0. It seems like Jude Bellingham has really put his stamp on this team. It seems like he's the leader of this, or not the leader. He's the one that makes the ball move, and he's really become the guy on England. Eddie, what's impressed you about this young kid? He's only 19 years old.
I was a believer back then. I'm more of a believer now. I think he has everything. He has the aerial game. He can pass. He can shoot. He's box to box. He has that work ethic when it comes to defense. Jude is the real deal. And if you're Gareth Southgate, he's the first person on your team sheet. There's no way, no question about it, that you will ever drop him. If you were to drop him, we've seen it. You could potentially see where if you're playing a midfield with Henderson and Declan Rice and I don't know who else you put in that midfield, you'll probably see a different England. So I think the most important player for England right now is Jude Bellingham.
J.C., do you agree with that?
Yeah, 100%. And don't speak it into existence. Don't even mention a midfield of England without Jude Bellingham. But honestly, the things he's been able to produce and do in the midfield is what England's been missing for a long time. And, Henderson benefited from it. And the one who's really benefiting the most is really Harry Kane. He gets to really just play free. He doesn't have to worry about tracking back and being in a position. You've seen how many goals he's producing. He even made Rashford a goal scorer. I mean, the guy, they gave Henderson a goal.
Here we go.
Henderson finally got his goal.
Like Rashford lives in your head.
And like I said, look at the scoreline. Look at the scoreline. You asked me last week, what does England need to do to beat Senegal? And I gave you the answer. Don't start Rashford, and there's the scoreline. I'm locked. So
do you guys feel, I'm going to start off with you, JC, since I have you right here. Does Borussia Dortmund get enough credit for all the players that they develop? They developed obviously Robert Lewandowski, Erling Haaland, Jude Bellingham, some of these really good players. There's a guy right now on Chelsea. He warms the bench, so I won't put him in that discussion. But do you feel like
Gio Reyna?
Gio Reyna, do you feel like Borussia Dortmund gets enough credit for the job that they do?
It's almost like you have to go and follow who they're following, and whoever they decide to pick on, you might as well just start putting them as a target, because those guys just produce, and it's just like Porto and Benfica, they're their school. I don't know what they're doing, what they're feeding people over there, what the hell they got them watching or what is going on. But everybody who puts on that jersey just goes to the next level. Didn't Hakimi play over there as well?
Yeah.
And it showed today, box to box. It's just, if you made a starting 11 of who should have stayed or who they should have kept, you'd have the biggest headache in the world. They get all the respect, and as they should.
Eddie, one of the concerns about England was their defense. How have you thought their defenses look so far?
I think it's never missed a beat. A lot of the question marks were surrounding Harry Maguire and his form. Gareth Southgate opting to take an injured Kyle Walker. But you know what? They've impressed me. They've kept many clean sheets throughout the tournament. And they're looking like
played anyone.
They're looking like they're ready to shut out another opponent. And don't get me wrong, I think Pickford can make mistakes. I think Harry Maguire, we've seen it at United, he can make mistakes. But right now, I think they're just zoned in, and football's coming home.
Negative. JC on the right side. What have you thought about Saka as the right winger on that side?
He tracked back a lot, and that's a big thing that you miss out when you start Rashford. His effort on defense really isn't there.
Oh
Offensively,
God, now you're
it's a
questioning
different
his
story.
discipline. Come on, guy.
But I watched the game. Saka was tracking back. They couldn't push up on that side, and when they needed him to be there, he was there. Just play simple football. That's all it is. That's all you got to do. Do your job, next man. And honestly, the center backs got a little exposed. They were shaky. They were nervous, and it showed. Senegal doesn't have a big attack, but those few chances they had almost looked like they were going to be goals at the beginning of the game. But the more they get tested, the more difficult it's going to be, and I hope they can hold up. I do have a question mark on the defense still. I'm not sold. But Saka definitely did his job, and that's all he was there for. Just fill the spot, play simple, play off of Harry, and track back. And he did.
I have a quick question. Would have been different if they had Sadio Mane.
Oh, 1,000%. They wouldn't have had an answer for him. Who's gonna guard him? Who's gonna cover Sadio Mane? Like seriously. There's nobody.
That would have made things a lot more interesting, I think.
It would have.
Sadio Mane was healthy and playing.
1,000%. I'm gonna spoil the preview. The only guy who could beat Mbappe didn't get called up to England. I'm gonna just leave that as a question mark. Hopefully, you guys remember who I'm talking about.
Oh no, this guy.
All right, so we'll leave that. We'll leave that for the preview. Eddie, next, Croatia beats Japan in penalty kicks 3-1. I actually thought that was actually thought it was an entertaining 1-1 game. Croatia between Japan. Just what did you see from this game?
Well, you saw a Japan team that was brave and not afraid to stick to the game plan and adapt to certain situations. I think towards the end they started faltering a little and they started like trying to close up shop. But no, I was impressed. I think they could have easily won the game. But it just came down to PKs, and I don't know if they practice 1,000 PKs like other teams, but yeah, it's unfortunate. But yeah, Croatia, they're no chumps, man. They're no chumps.
JC, there was a report the other day that that the Croatian national team needed a day off because they were all exhausted from the group play. But there was one guy that was still in the gym that day working out, and it was 37-year-old Luka Modric. Just what does it say about him that he's been able to kind of not reinvent himself, but before the pandemic, it kind of looked a little bit like Modric may be on the way down, but it kind of feels like ever since all that stuff happened, he really jolted back up, and he's really been in form ever since. So what does it say about him that he's been kind of the leader of this Croatian team, and he's still doing it at a high level at 37?
Honestly, that's why they called him up. It's that discipline and it's that clubhouse, presence that he's going to bring in. The guy walks in and you just automatically knows he means business, and he's not going to take a subpar performance, and you have to go and play your hardest like he does. And he holds everybody accountable, and just those small details like that on any team, any sport, basketball, football, doesn't matter. You always have that guy that's out there driving it. It's going to always reflect on the team, and that's why they win.
Eddie, were you surprised that Japan could only make one penalty kick? It seemed like everything was towards the ground, and it was like they were kind of like,
yeah,
I don't know, it was just weird.
They so poorly taken, I'm surprised that a lot of teams are getting exposed when it comes to PKs. Even Lewandowski missed a PK, but he eventually made it after a redo. But yeah, I mean, it's been crazy seeing all these teams take all these penalties, and you just don't know if they're gonna make it or not. Like I was watching the Brazil game, for example, and then Neymar stepped up to take a penalty, and I'm thinking like, wow, like he doesn't look that confident that he's gonna make it, and man, the penalty, he chopped the penalty. Like that penalty was extremely savable, and I think the goalie fumbled that. But yeah, no, just the penalties in general. Every team is struggling with them. Every team.
Yeah, and now let's head over to Brazil, and they thrashed South Korea 4-1. But speaking of that, when Neymar goes up to take that penalty, he kind of does like this little like weird dance, and then kind of stops, and then freezes, and then kicks it in. I'm like, what?
Looking like Pogba over there doing the little stutter steps and running up to take the penalty. I was like, just get it over with, man. Like, what are you doing? Come on.
Yeah, I don't know why there's so much talk about his penalty walk-up. It's the same one he's always done. It's his style. It's the favela style, and he's always going to do it. I had zero doubt in my mind that he was going to miss the pen. It was always going to be a goal. It was like
So JC, just talking a little bit about Brazil, and it just feels like even with it felt like there was kind of a little bit of a drop off without Neymar for the last 2 games. He comes back in and everything looks smooth. Just what can you say about this Brazil team and kind of the way that they were able to take it to South Korea and there was no ifs, ands, or buts about it. I think that by halftime they were up 3-0.
they executed. They executed. They were the only, they were the first team to really kind of put that out there that they're going to do what they do and they're going to, hold no prisoners. They went out there, scored their 4 goals, killed the game by the half, and they were out. They know it's a tournament. The faster you get that team out of there, the sooner you can make your subs and get your good guys off the field and rest up. They did what they had to do.
Eddie, obviously there's been lots of talk about kind of the way maybe Neymar's selfish, other guys are selfish and stuff, but it seems like this team is really united. And as soon as like Vinicius scored his first goal, his World Cup goal, all the guys come up, they all start dancing with him and doing stuff like that. This team seems a lot more united than I think more people than I feel like a lot of people have said about. They look like they really like each other and they're a cohesive unit. Am I wrong in that, or is that the way?
No, I think you nailed it. Nailed it on. Well, you hit it on the coffin, right? You hit the nail on the coffin. You've seen it with Chiche joining the celebration with Charleston. This team is united, and I think there is a lot of egos that have to be managed in the Brazil squad. You have Neymar, you have Richarlison, you have Vini, Rafinha, which
you can't keep his name out of your mouth.
The beginning of the group stage, there was chances where he could have laid the ball off, but instead opted to shoot the ball. Had questionable decision making. But right now, this Brazilian team, the Samba's out, and they're looking like the favorite to win the World Cup.
JC, when you see the way your center defensive mid is playing right now for United, the way he's playing for Brazil, do you feel like right now he's playing at a high level in Casemiro?
He's never stopped playing at a high level. Honestly, he never had a fall off. He never had a drop off. It's always him, and that's good. That's what he does. He produces box to box, neutralizes. Gets their best player, knocks him out of the game, and that's all she wrote.
But what's helping him is Paqueta being there. He doesn't have that at United. Like, okay, Fred's there, but can we compare Fred to Paqueta? I don't think so. Can you compare a McTominay to how Paqueta's playing? I don't think so either. And I think right now this Casemiro is taking advantage of that, and that's why he's looking like that world-class CDM that we saw in Madrid.
But one question this is a question for both of you, but does this Brazil team feel different than in years past? Does it feel like these guys are a lot more of a locomotive, if you will, moving forward, especially because of the talent that you see, not just the talent, but the cohesiveness and everything do you feel like they're a lot better than the previous Brazil teams from the World Cup, Eddie?
Yeah, I think they're playing with a lot of swagger, right? I think the previous World Cups, we didn't really see that from the Brazilian team. And we saw a lot of players that were on their way out. And we didn't get to see a lot of the younger players that Brazil is producing, show up in the world stage. And now we're seeing that. And now you're bearing fruit to what might, eventually become one of these Brazilian teams that you're scared to play. I know us growing up, we would see the Brazil team of Rivaldo and Kaká and Ronaldinho and Ronaldo. This could potentially be that, So yeah, there's a lot of things to be excited about.
JC, what do you think about this squad being different than the last 2 World Cups?
The Joga Bonito's back. That's all it is. It took a little bit of a break and it was going to take some time to get right. But definitely it's back and it's showing and they're scoring goals and they're scoring at will. And the celebrations, I think, is probably the best part. You get some world-class goals and you get some even better celebrations and it's fun all around. But the Joga's back and it was overdue. I needed me some favela football in my life.
100%. Eddie, let's go over now to Morocco. That was the biggest upset to me of the week. That was the biggest upset to me that Morocco upset Spain. I actually did have it in my bracket that they were going to upset them. There's something about Morocco and the way they're playing, and I just don't trust what Luis Enrique took to the World Cup. with him in the squad. So I just didn't think it was going to work. But how big is this for not only Morocco but like for the World Cup in general? This big upset.
That it's great because you see, this is the last African team that's in the World Cup, so it's big. It shows that football is growing, and especially in Africa. Um, I think some people expected Spain to cruise by, and maybe I think I had them winning like 1-0, 2-0. But hey, man, anything can happen, and it happened. And you spoke about the squad selection. I don't understand how you didn't take Sergio Ramos. I think he could have definitely been an asset.
Busquets.
He took Busquets. He took Ferran
By the way,
Torres, which
Busquets missed
hasn't
the
done
penalty kick today.
anything. Yeah, he missed a penalty kick. And I would say he didn't take David De Gea, but I don't want J.C. to get all mad. But yeah, no, it's great. It's great for football. It's great for Morocco, and good luck to them.
JC, what did you think about Spain? Did you feel like they had a good tournament, or do you feel like it was kind of shaky for them?
No, I felt like that was as far as they were going to go. They did their tournament. A lot of people expected more, but I never really had them being a favorite in this tournament.
And Chinguito, I think 10 out of their 8 out of their 8 out of their 13 people that they asked, the reporters, 8 of them said Luis Enrique's Spain team was going to win it all.
Yeah, I saw that. That was funny to see. I wanted to see the reaction today. It probably just pulled the plug on the network after they saw that loss. But no, definitely the big thing is that veteran presence. You got a Modric going for Croatia. Why not Ramos for Spain? Like, is he too hard on the players? Does he not have the right culture or the right mindset that Enrique wants? Because I don't know about anybody else, but a guy like that, a serial winner who all he wants to do is win, especially for his country, you don't call him up. And it showed today. They didn't have that guy that stepped up and showed face for the team and who was really willing to put everybody on notice and call everybody out to, step up their game. They had to. That game should have never gone to penalties. It should have been over 90 minutes for Spain, as the experts would anticipate, but not today. Morocco played their game. They executed. They made it extremely difficult for them. They ran all game, and on to the next.
How impressed were you, JC, with Morocco's defense?
It was effort. It was all effort, bro. But honestly, that's all they had to do, just run their hearts out and defend that jersey till the end. And you saw 2-3 players got subbed off because of injuries, just because they kept running too much. The captain center back blew a hammy on that last pass he tried to give off, and that was that for him. But shout out to them. They played their hearts out. They won today. And I really was impressed, and that's World Cup football. Just play your heart out for your nation, and anything can happen in the game.
Eddie, there's a rumor that Luis Enrique is going to be taking over Atletico de Madrid. That Cholo may be out. So he obviously after the game he said he wasn't going to speak on his future, that he was disappointed about everything that would happen and everything. But do you feel like that's a good move for him? Do you feel like him taking over Atletico de Madrid will help Atletico maybe get out over that hump that they haven't been able to with Cholo Simeone?
Is he really going there? I don't think he's going to go there. I think he's
that's the hot rumor that he's going to
Basque through and through. He's from the Basque region. He's I don't think he's going to want to go to a Madrid team. But if that's the case, I mean, I don't really see you improving under Luis Enrique if you're Atletico Madrid. I think Cholo Simeone, as long as he's been there and through the highs and the lows, I think he's, in my opinion, a much better coach and much better suited for the Atleti play style. You really want to bring the tiki-taka to Atletico de Madrid? That's not who they are. That's not their identity. And I don't know how that's going to resonate with their fans, to be honest.
JC, if you were Spain, would you try and bring back Luis Enrique or move on and go and find someone else?
Unfortunately for them, they're gonna die on their tiki-taka. They've got the Barca DNA. It's deep. It's deep, and I don't know why. There's more ways to play other than tiki-taka. I'm not saying stop it altogether, but you have to evolve and you have to adapt and you have to, play certain games a specific way. Like, just look at all the numbers are upside down: possession, shots on target, all of it. They can brag about all that they want, but the result at the end, it is what it is. And
they don't have those players to do that anymore. They have to adapt, and that's one thing Luis Enrique failed at. He failed to adapt and realize that the players that he took just unfortunately don't play that style. Like, I'm sorry, like the tiki-taka that you thought of 2010 and Vicente del Bosque and, you know, having a midfield of Xavi and Iniesta and Fabregas and all, it's done, man. It's done. Like, it's time to move on.
It even seemed like Barcelona's young players that they're really excited about, Gavi, Ansu Fati, and I can't remember the Rodri.
They're anonymous.
Yeah, like they really did. I didn't think they did anything, those guys. And then on top of that, Ferran Torres looked terrible.
Bro, why don't you start Morata? Awful. Like, why did you not start Morata?
He brings him in like as like a 12th man, but it's like, why wouldn't you?
He's the one banging in their goals,
literally, exactly. And creating the play up there. He's holding the ball up so they can play their tiki-taka style, and they need that post striker. They don't want to play with him, and they showed today. And you know, he busted a pep. He switched it up in a big game, and there's the result. You know, just the Barca way.
Yeah, no, definitely. Now let's move on to a team that really. So I mean, it surprised me. I thought this game would be a lot closer. Portugal versus Switzerland. I thought it was going to be. I thought it was going to be a lot closer. Obviously, Portugal 6-1. The big story of the day: no Cristiano Ronaldo. They decided not to start him. But they still won 6-1. What was his name? Gonzalo Ramos. Ends up hitting a hat trick and it has an assist. JC, what did you think about the move by Fernando? What's his
Santos.
Why can't
Fernando Santos.
Fernando Santos. Thank you, Eddie. What did you think about the move by Santos to not start Ronaldo and go with Ramos?
I was all for it. I never had a problem with it, to be honest with you. If you're looking at the way the games are playing, you're expecting the game to go long and deep into the 90-minute mark, a close game. You know, they were showing, I think, the record during the game. Switzerland has more games won when they last played, or the overall record at the times they played. So, you know, you anticipate for the worst, and if you can stretch out, you know, a 0-0 and then you bring a Cristiano in to bail you out or to shoot a penalty or to hit the game-winning penalty, I think that's what he was thinking, and he was right to do so. And, you know, that guy came off the bench with something to prove, chip on his shoulder. Shout out Gonzalo. You know, apparently he's been ripping it out there in Benfica, not somebody I'm too familiar with at the moment, been falling off of that Liganos. But, you know, I'm excited to see where he goes and how he keeps up, because Benfica always produces world-class strikers for the most part, and he's the next one up, it looks like. I have no problem with it.
Eddie, did Fernando Santos create a problem for himself moving forward to the next game?
Well, you saw pregame, all the reporters just hoarding the Portugal bench. You know, Cristiano still bringing in the headlines. I'm curious whether he benched him because of his reaction of when he subbed him off last game, or was it more strategic? But definitely, I mean, you brought unwanted attention to your team when you don't need that right now. You're trying to possibly make it to the finals of the World Cup, and yeah, I don't understand why he would do that. I get it. Cristiano Ronaldo, like Messi, is not the same player anymore that he once was. But I still think, you know, benching your captain that way, it's a gutsy move. Very gutsy.
No, I think Cristiano understands. He celebrated all the goals with everybody, and then that Pepe goal was awesome to see them reunite and celebrate.
Yeah, I told you about Pepe. I don't understand why he wasn't playing him. Now he's playing him, and they looked a lot more solid in the back.
And that tempo he pushed, that's what I'm saying. You know, look at Pepe coming in for Portugal and just elevating everybody's play. Like what?
39 years old, by the way, I think.
Yeah, 40 in February. And then what could Ramos have done for Spain? That I'm just going to throw that out there. You know?
Yeah, no, exactly. Exactly what you guys are saying. JC, why was Portugal able to run all over the pitch on Wednesday and really take it to Switzerland's defense?
They came to put on a show. They wanted to knock them out early, and they went for it. And honestly, almost every chance they had, they finished. I don't really remember them missing too many good opportunities at goal. And they were just ripping at will. Any chance they had that was, you know, 1v1, Gonzalo was just putting it away. He wasn't taking any prisoners. And I think the mentality's right. They know what it takes to win a big tournament. They won Euros, and they're back on the same par. I don't think anybody's selfish about, I need a score, I need a this, I need a that. You know, you saw Cristiano celebrate with everybody, and it wasn't personal. He would have told Piers Morgan, I think, if he was upset. Or
texted him during the half.
You know,
he would have
quick phone call, WhatsApp video call or something, you know, and it would have been on.
Mate.
It would have already been viral, but you know, he celebrated with them and he knows what it takes. And I think he wants to win more a World Cup at any cost than to, you know, exit out the way, you know, he has before.
Okay, so now let's move in. We're gonna preview the next 4 games and predict what will the semifinals look like by the time that the weekend is over. This weekend's over. So let's go first. Croatia, Brazil. JC, what's one thing that Croatia needs to do to try and stay in this game, especially with the way Brazil's playing right now? They're a high motor team. What does Croatia need to do to kind of slow down Brazil?
They have to stop the engine. They have to stop Lucas Paqueta and Casemiro. They have to find a way to neutralize that engine, because it's honestly, that's what's running the whole team. The guys can play free up front and not have to worry about tracking back. You see Vini doesn't come back like he does for Madrid for the same reason, because it's just locked down back there. The midfield is just, it's stacked. The way they play off of each other is just ridiculous. And it really is the heart and soul of that team. They're running it, you know, nonstop. And as Tita should, he's just repeating that base lineup. I love to see Militao out there right back again. That'd be awesome, because, you know, he's just a better defensive presence, and they need that aerial presence for sure, because they're going to try to, you know, score another crossing goal, and there's going to be a lot of that. But that midfield is it. Paqueta and Casemiro. We're going to be seeing a few more dance moves, you know, come Friday.
Eddie, what does Brazil need to do to win this game?
They need to just play free, man. You know, try to put all the pressure on Neymar. I think Neymar will relish that. He relishes those opportunities, and if they're able to do that, then I think Brazil run away with this one. Again, I didn't really think that the Croatian team looked that strong against Japan. I think they showed glimpses of like what we saw back in 2018, but yeah, I don't really see them as like a strong team. So I think Brazil, if they're able to capitalize on the youth that they have up front, and, you know, score quickly, I think the game could be put to bed again within the half. So,
Eddie, do you make any moves if you're Brazil?
No, I think you go into the game with the same players that you started with the last game, and I think your substitutions came on, and I think it worked perfectly. I think Chichen knows what he's doing. Yeah, no, I think Brazil win this game easily.
JC, would you make any moves if you're Brazil?
Yeah, bench Rafinha. Nah, I'm just playing. I just wanted to throw that out there. I want to get a reaction.
Living
No,
in
honestly,
your head rent free.
No, just repeat the same lineup. I mean, that lineup just destroyed 4-0 at the half, man. It was no doubt. There's no need to touch it. Leave Militao at right back. Casemiro, Paqueta. Let the guys up there go crazy, and let's get ready for another bird dance. But Neymar's, you know, playing free. You see, they're not forcing the ball through Neymar every single time. Other players can play, and, you know, they can all represent their country equally. And that's the big difference between a Brazil and an Argentina. And I really feel like that's what's going to make Brazil a bigger favorite than Argentina at the end of the day.
JC, who wins the game on Friday morning?
Oh, you know me. Favela boys all the way.
What's your score prediction?
Oof, it's a tough one. I think 2-0. Croatia's going to play aggressive. They're going to really, you know, hit a lot of players. Hopefully Neymar doesn't get injured. I know a few Croatian guys would love to get a free tackle on him, you know, go straight for that ankle on the first one they can. And you're going to really need to see the referee step in and call a straight game early, because they're going to try to get away with that, you know, early hit. But Brazil, 2-0, I'm feeling it.
Eddie, before I go to you, I want to ask JC one question. JC, if this was Mexico versus Brazil, what would the scoreline be?
First of all, it'd be a miracle, you know, that we made it past the round of 16. But no, honestly, I think it'd probably be like a 1-0 game. I don't think really Mexico, once they get past that round of 16, they would have been riding such a high that they could have. That's the main thing. You know how it is. They beat that team. They ride that high.
It's all sunshine
I feel like
from there. Basically,
if that was the game, I think Brazil would have been overconfident and Mexico would have punched them in the mouth.
Interesting. And you wouldn't have Chicharito and what's his name?
No, actually, I actually kind of
Chicharito.
forgot. I kind of forgot that was head coach. So never mind.
I knew that's what was
It
coming.
would have got ran over.
Eddie, does Brazil make the semifinal?
Yeah, I think so. 100%.
What's the score?
They have to be the clear favorites to get to the final now. I think the score's gonna be 3-0 Brazil.
I'll go Brazil as well. I'll say I'll go 3-1. I'll say
Look
Croatia.
at us picking favorites. Look at us picking favorites.
I'll say Croatia gets one in there. Next game, mighty Messi versus the Netherlands. It's gonna be an interesting matchup. The Netherlands, obviously, like we said earlier, beat Team USA 3-1. Argentina beat Australia 2-1. Something's got to give. The counterattacking of Luis van Gaal versus the kind of slow build up with Argentina. Eddie, what does Argentina need to do to win this game?
You know, remember when we were watching the U.S. game, I was saying, hey, give the ball to Weah and attack Blind.
Yeah.
I think that was their weakest point, and they weren't doing that. And I think if you're able to attack that side of their defense, I think you have a good shot at exposing them and coming out with a result. But yeah, I think attack that side where Blind is.
So that's more Di Maria, right? Attack with Di Maria.
I would say Julian Alvarez is in a better form right now, and I think you'd play him.
J.C., what do the Netherlands need to do to advance?
Absolutely nothing. They will win this game easy. No, I think if they just I think if they repeat the performance versus the USA, I like the way they crowded the midfield and they made it really difficult to just have those free lanes and those spaces for Messi. I don't think they're gonna struggle too much with containing him. Van Gaal's got what it looks like a freaking recipe for everybody and their mom. Like, the guy has an answer for absolutely everything and everyone. So I think if they reload that midfield and just make that block wall again, it's going to be a long game for Argentina.
JC, what does Argentina or the Netherlands, either one, do they have to make any substitutions, any changes, or do you kind of go the way you've already come so far?
I honestly wouldn't mind seeing Malacia start this game at right back. The guy's there. He's box to box. He says he's been speaking so much about how much he likes him and this and that and all these cosigns. Play the guy. If there was ever a time and there was ever a game, put him in there. Let him run up and down the wing, because if you apply pressure and you make him force up to that right back position, up to the right wing, you're forcing Argentina to not push up that right wing, and they're down an attacker. And when if you've seen it before, once Di Maria gets pushed back or whoever they play in that right back, that's half the game for them. They don't have Messi to dump it off to anywhere nearby, so it's gonna be a struggle for them. But I want to see Malacia. I want to see him drive the ball up, and then it should be a debut game for him.
Eddie, any changes that either team needs to make?
I mean, I would like to see the Netherlands play a 4-3-3. Honestly. You got Gakpo on one side, I think Bergwijn on the other, and then Depay through the middle. Yeah, I think I would like to see that. Would that happen? Probably not. I think he's going to stick with his three at the back and his 5 midfielders and his 2 strikers. But yeah, that's what I would like to see. But honestly, like JC said, I think the Netherlands is just going to be too much for Argentina. I think their midfield's a lot stronger. They don't have an answer for Frankie de Jong, honestly, let's be honest. DePaul's not the answer. Sorry.
I was waiting for you to say that.
Maybe if you put a Lisandro Martinez in there as a surprise and you try to disrupt play that way. But honestly, yeah, I think the Netherlands come up with the win.
Does Laruto Martinez need to start this game, or who would you start as striker?
1,000%.
Yeah, I mean, I think we've seen him play Liverpool, and who's the center back that's at the Netherlands right now? Van Dijk. Where does he play? Liverpool, and we've seen Lautaro Martinez play against him in the Champions League, and we've seen him expose him. And can he do that again? I think so. I think a lot of players have already exposed Van Dijk. Will he get the service because they're so reliant on Messi that give the ball to Messi, give it to number 10, like JC said. I don't know. That's yet to be seen. But yeah, I think Lautaro has to start. There's no way you don't.
JC, does Messi move on to the semifinals of the World Cup?
Negative. No. Van Gaal all the way.
Well, what's the score going to be?
It'll be a close game, probably another 2-0. To be honest, they're just gonna do the same thing they did the USA. They're not trying to be flashy. They're not trying to be cute. They're just there to win in 90 minutes and get out.
I think Little Hasbullah agrees with you. Eddie, what do you think? Does Messi make it to the? Is there Messi magic? Do they make it to the?
This is his last World Cup. I'm sorry, Messi fans. This is his last World Cup. I don't see them coming out. Their back four is pretty weak. Their midfield, I mean, you have players like DePaul and McAllister. You think they're gonna run circles around the Dutch boys? I don't think so. Papu Gomez got injured, so who does he start on that side? Probably Lautaro Martinez. But no, I think the Netherlands come out with the victory. I think they win 2-0. Yeah.
I'll say I'll add a little bit of pressure. Netherlands 2-1. I'll say that
Extra time.
No, regular time. But I'll say Enzo scores a goal and makes it a little bit.
Hey, I like that guy.
Wow, I like how you think.
So I do want to say this though. And it's not that Argentina can't win the game. It's that they won't win the game because they keep forcing it through the 10. If they were to play the game the way they're supposed to, they could win it. 2-1, squeak out a dirty victory. But
if you're the Netherlands, you don't want to go to PKs because Emi Martinez. Sorry,
you've seen that goalkeeper. The man is 6'8".
One of the best at stopping. So you don't want to see it. You don't want it to get to that. But then again, huge, them Argentinian boys always, when it comes down to penalties, always, crumble. So
we'll see. All right, guys. Next one, Sunday at 7 a.m., Morocco versus Portugal. I'm going to ask both of you, but I'll start off with J.C. J.C., does Cristiano Ronaldo start this game? Or do you ride the hot hand?
Yeah, no, you have to. Obviously, the injuries at center back that they had, and then they played 120 minutes and then went to penalties. It's prime for him to start. He sat out this game to start that one, I feel like, and it's time. The Cristi show is here.
Eddie, would you start Cristiano Ronaldo, or are you riding the hot hand?
I'm riding Cristiano Ronaldo. I think he'll send the wrong message to the rest of the team if you don't start him. I think if, from what I'm suspecting is true, that coach punished him and benched him, I think Cristiano understood and probably got the message, and he's focused again and he's ready to start. So I start him.
What does Morocco need to do to pull off the upset?
Lock up the shop. I think if you're able to defend the way you defended today, you'll be able to cause some problems for Portugal, I think. But it's gonna be very, very difficult for them to come out with a victory, I think, in normal time. It's more likely that they'll go to extra time and they'll, squeeze out a victory there. But yeah, I mean, it's gonna be tough, man. They just played 120 minutes and penalties. It's gonna be rough.
JC, what does Portugal need to do to win the game?
There's so many things they could do. Honestly, just repeat the lineup today. And today I want to see Bruno out there again, just running the show. I'd like to see Neves actually play defensive mid. If you put Neves at the holding mid position, you give him that ability to play a little more free. And I feel like he links up real well with Cristiano. There's those long balls he likes to launch out, and Cristi always beats the back line real well. So I feel like that's going to be a big one to look out for. And I'd like to see Leao start. I don't think, I don't think defensively. I don't think defensively they have an answer for Leao. And you put that pressure on that right, left back, wherever they decide to play him, it's going to be a fun game to watch because that's going to leave a lot of spaces for Cristiano versus some very exposed center backs.
But let me ask both of you, and I'll start off with you, JC. Leao, isn't he a good 12th man, though, that you bring? Maybe Morocco's defense is exhausted. You bring him in, and he could finish them off?
That's the problem with pace, and it's a good problem. You can start it, you can bring it off the bench. It's either way, you can't lose with that guy. His mentality, you've seen it today. They were up by a lot, and the guy came in and just started making runs. He didn't think it was enough.
Yeah, my bad. Go ahead.
He didn't think it was enough, and he wanted his own goal, and he got it.
Would you bench João Felix for him?
I think you just move them around. I think because you could play either one on the left or the right. I think, you'll be okay with both of them starting. You could definitely do it. I don't want to see Bernardo Silva start, to be honest with you. I feel like he played today He does well and everything, but I feel like it'd be, I guess you could start him, but defensively, you don't want to leave that hole open. I don't want to leave that hole open in the middle.
Eddie, what do you think? Would you start Leao, or would you kind of bring him off on as your 12th man?
Well, I think you've seen Ramos can come off the bench and be your 12th man. I think, if you want that explosiveness on the wing, I think you bring on Leao right at the start. I think you start him. You keep Joao Felix out there, Cristiano through the middle. I think their midfield is what might look a little different. If you're not starting Bernardo Silva, I think you're starting Bruno Fernandes, Carvalho, and then Ruben Neves. And where Ruben Neves doesn't have to play so much as a defensive role, and he'll be a lot more free to go up the pitch and take shots because we know he can do that, pass the ball. But I like Bernardo Silva. I think you start Bernardo Silva. Again, he rested Joao Cancelo. I don't know if that was due to like an injury or just give him some rest. But I think no, he's not going to start over Dallo. He's going to start over Guerreiro. I don't like Guerreiro.
They're playing lights out.
That's your biggest weakness right there. I think. Yeah, Guerreiro's not the answer.
He ran the show. Don't hate on the Borussia boy. Come on now. It's a bad omen.
So let me. So JC, does Cristiano Ronaldo make it to the semifinal of the World Cup?
Of course, we're here. Christy show. Let's do it.
What's your score prediction?
It's gonna be a shutout. I keep saying 2-0, but I think this was maybe 3 or 4-0. I think Portugal. Wow. If Cristiano starts, he's gonna push that tempo. He's gonna want goals and a lot of them. So it'll be a shutout.
Eddie, what do you think?
Oh, man, I think it's gonna be close. I think it's gonna be 2-1. I think the final score. I think Bernardo Silva scores, and I think one of the defenders, either Diaz or Pepe, score again. I don't think Cristiano gets a goal.
I'll go 3-0 to Ronaldo goals. Maybe one comes via PK.
And Diaz was exposed today. Diaz got exposed bad today. He was getting thrown around.
And that comes down to Guerreiro, and
to be completely honest,
the 1v1s, the 1v1s.
Okay, yeah. But I thought at one point when Diaz got really physical, I felt like the other dude kind of crumbled a little bit against that, because in the second half he couldn't do anything against Diaz. So I feel like when Diaz got more physical with him, the dude couldn't really keep up with that. So I mean, just my opinion.
Just one man's opinion.
Just one man's opinion. Now let's go. I think this is the biggest matchup, to be completely honest, of all 4 games. England versus France. This is always a great matchup. This is always, and I have it's always a great matchup. Eddie, what does England need to do to win this game?
Allow Jude Bellingham to be Jude Bellingham. Let him play free, man. Let him go up and start the play. Let him track. Let him be himself. And I think that will open up a lot of space for players like Phil Foden, Harry Kane. I don't think you start Jordan Henderson in this game. Please, Gareth Southgate, don't do that. I think you're better off bringing on someone like Calvin Phillips if you're going to start doing all that. And I think you keep the same back 4 of Shaw, Maguire, Stones, and Walker. But yeah, I think Jude Bellingham's the key for England. It's not Harry Kane, as I predicted. So yeah.
JC, what does France need to do to win this game?
Give it to Mbappe. They don't have an answer for an Mbappe, bro. No, honestly, the only man on the English side that could have stopped Mbappe was Wan-Bissaka. One night in Paris. We all remember.
You say Wan-Bissaka.
You remember when your boy Rashford.
You're gonna say Twanzebe had him in his pocket and Neymar. Come on.
It didn't happen. United didn't beat PSG. They didn't do the comeback. Your boy Lukaku scored a goal. I know you remember. No, honestly, I don't think Walker can keep up with him. He's gonna look exposed just like every other, defender they try to put on him. And it's just that Man City DNA. They're gonna crumble, and I don't. Griezmann, it's gonna be a tough matchup. It's the hardest matchup England's had, and it's really gonna be a big headache for Southgate on how to start this game, because it's really going to be on the starting 11. It's how you start that game, not how you finish it. And it's going to be a huge headache for him.
You need Marcus Rashford in there.
speaking of the starting 11, uh, obviously,
For what?
Raheem Sterling left the team because of some stuff that was going
Yeah,
on
yeah,
back at his
best
home.
wishes.
Very, very sad to hear that about what happened with Raheem Sterling and his family. But Eddie, what would you start Phil Foden there at left? The way Southgate did the last game, or what would you do with that open spot?
No, I like Phil Foden. I think you start him. I think Phil Foden gets to start. I think Harry Kane obviously gets to start. I think it's a toss up between Saka and Rashford, and it's going to come down to
There's no toss up. There's no toss up.
who Gareth Southgate trusts more in this situation.
Clearly, Saka. That's why he started last game.
And I think Rashford gives you a little bit more than Saka when it comes
Absolutely
to
nothing.
offensively.
No,
Offensively,
Nope.
maybe defensively, not so much. But I think in a game like this, I think you're looking for someone like a Marcus Rashford to cause havoc down the flank. And on top of that, he also gives you some flexibility if you want to change your formation. Rashford can play as a second striker. So, these things come into play. As long as J.C. doesn't want to hear this, I think he understands the tactical side of it and why you'd want to start someone like Marcus Rashford. But yeah.
JC, are you starting Rashford?
Negative. Nope. I think Saka needs to start again because they're gonna go. They have to go 3 wide in the front, and 2 strikers would be cool. 4-4-2. I'd like to see honestly from Southgate. To see that play, and I really feel that Harry Kane is going to be his make or break game, but I don't know if he could keep up with that physicality of that French center back line. They're rough out there, man. They are some big dudes. They run fast and they hit. That man is an animal, bro. He's a dog. You got the dog in it.
Harry Kane.
And honestly, it'd be cool to see, a backline run, a dump off to Foden or vice versa. And there's multiple ways for England to win this game, but will they? I don't think so. Mbappe and Griezmann are coming for it. Les Blues.
Eddie, if you're England, how do you defend Griezmann, Giroud, and Kylian?
Oh man, I mean, no one has an answer for Mbappe, right? But I think one way you can do that is by just isolating the play, forcing the play to go one way, opposed to going the other way. Making Mbappe have to track to get the ball. I think if you can do that, where he has to track every single time to receive the ball, then I think you give yourself a shot. And that all starts with isolating Griezmann. He's the one dictating their tempo. He's the one moving the play. He's the one creating the opportunity for others. I think
this is where you need Paul Pogba.
This is the game where you're going to see someone like Dembele. I think Giroud, as good as he's been, I think they know him enough to where they can keep him at bay. So yeah, I think if you're able to do that, you can come off with the victory.
JC, who wins this game?
France is winning this game, no doubt, for sure. France.
Score?
I can't give you a score. It's going to be a tough game. It'll be ugly, but I can't give you a score. France all the way, but I don't have a score in mind.
Eddie, who you got winning?
Okay, Mr. Rashford, you're wishing
I
on
got
a
football
star
coming home. Football's coming home.
There you go.
2-1.
Dream.
I think both goals come from Theo Hernandez's side because as good as he is offensively, he's a liability defensively.
Ooh, so that's where Marcus Rashford would line up if.
No, that's not gonna happen.
Hey man.
Negative.
Negative.
So the way I'll say I'm gonna go with France as well. I just think France is too.
You guys love picking favorites on this podcast.
No, well, Kylian is a monster.
You're saying England is coming home.
You're hype. Y'all heard it here first. It's a lock. It's a lock. England 2-1.
Don't bet anything on this guy. I promise. Don't
so
leave it
alone.
the way you had Spain beating Morocco. Stop.
The way JC and I have it is Brazil versus the Netherlands in one semifinal, Portugal versus France in another of a rematch of the 2016 Euro final, Portugal versus France. Eddie has it Brazil versus the Netherlands, and then he has Portugal versus England. So hey, either way you paint it, those are really good matchups. So, but definitely some good, very good stuff here from both Eddie and JC. Appreciate you guys so much. Anything you guys want to say before we head out of here?
What is it? A report? Cristi's not going to Saudi Arabia after all, huh?
Yeah, supposedly he doesn't care about the money. He wants to play competitive soccer.
Go.
I mean, I think I want to say, if you're England, do not practice 1,000 penalties, because we've seen that doesn't work.
What happened in the Euros? What happened in the Euros? Clearly, they need to practice penalties. I'm sorry, were we not watching that game together?
Don't practice 1,000 though, because apparently that doesn't work.
Right. Yeah, well, if you don't have confidence, you're not going to score.
Hey, they won a penalty shootout last World Cup versus Colombia. So, Jordan Pickford came up big in that game. So, come on.
T-Rex?
Come on, guys.
Oh, these guys are. That's why we started this extension on the Compas Network, because this is fun. We're talking football. It's great stuff. You got Compas talking football. What more could you want? Thank you guys again so much for checking out Compas FC. We will be doing another episode after the semifinals. We'll bring you all what we thought of the games. JC, Eddie will tell you everything that they thought about both games. And then on top of that, who will win the final? We'll have all that. Oh, no, this is actually my bad. This is my bad. After
the quarterfinals.
After these 4 games, we will have a preview episode, and then we'll pick who we think is going to the semifinal. Or my bad, who's going to the final as well. So we'll have everything for you guys. We appreciate it so much. Don't forget to check out What's Up Bolts. I spoke to Alan Poupart of the Miami Dolphins. He talked about what he really thinks about the Tua Herbert debate. He says he leans a little bit more Herbert. We'll see what happens. He thinks it's going to be an interesting game this weekend. Don't forget to check out House of Horns. The Rams picked up Baker Mayfield. They decided to pick him up, and supposedly he might start this Thursday. So,
are you surprised, though?
No, I'm not. I'm actually not.
Of course not. It's another McVay.
What says more Hollywood that the Rams are potentially starting him against the Raiders on Thursday night? That'd be very interesting. So don't forget to check out House of Horns.
Doesn't know what to do.
Exactly. Compas on the beat. We had obviously the new episode just dropped. Are the Cincinnati Bengals the team to beat in the AFC? Do they have the number of the Kansas City Chiefs after beating them? Joe Burrow is 3-0 against Patrick Mahomes. We'll see. The Eagles are flying high in the NFC East. Are they still the team to beat in the NFC as a whole? We discuss all that. And then obviously Combat Compas will be doing some more stuff. Like I said, as soon as the football season kind of calms down a little bit, we'll try and do some more stuff. I have a lot of rumors coming out about WrestleMania, and a certain if you smell individual might be coming back for WrestleMania. Got some other stuff. Who's Logan Paul gonna fight? Is Mr. Hustle Loyalty and Respect coming back for WrestleMania? I got all that and more. Appreciate you guys so much. Thank you guys so much for listening. Again, be a compa, tell a compa, like, subscribe, follow everything. We appreciate you guys so much. Hit us up in the
comments.
Yeah, exactly. Hit us up in the comments with any questions, anything you guys want. Thank you guys so much. And don't forget, after these matchups, we will have another episode. Don't forget to check it out. We appreciate you guys so much. Have a great rest of your week.